Wednesdays with Wade is going to feature QB1 Kellen Mond.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think Kellen might be ready to go. Sliding in to pick up the slack for the head coach, Kellen Mond, QB1 of the San Antonio Brahmas, joining us here on the Blitz, filling in on Wednesdays with Wade. Kellen, we talked to you a couple of weeks ago as training camp was getting underway, and you told us then you were trying to go earn that job. You did. What was the quarterback battle like for you?
Before I answer that, I want to say welcome to Wednesdays with Kellen. I know, but honestly, it's amazing, and I think that was kind of my primary goal here. One of the first things I talked to Mark Lillibridge about was, if I get the opportunity, if I play the best, are you going to make me the starter? And sometimes when you get into the NFL, you kind of deal with guys being paid more than you, or maybe draft picks, and so everyone's kind of on a clean slate, and I just wanted a fair opportunity here. And I played really well week 1, played really well week 2, and only got better into week 3. And me and the receivers and everyone we were clicking on all cylinders. And again today, we had another phenomenal day of practice, so we're only going to get better.
Kellen, that brings up a good point. When you get in there, I'm assuming you're throwing to a bunch of guys that you've never thrown to before, playing with some guys you haven't seen or had any affiliation with. How difficult is that to get used to those guys? Is it a hard thing to do?
It's definitely hard, but I think we have a lot of fast learners. We have a lot of guys who have either experience in this offense or they've experienced other NFL offenses. And you get a lot of reps, and you correct those mistakes, and then you find ways to move on. So a lot of the stuff in our game plan we've hit really hard. We practice, and I think we had maybe 2 balls on the ground today as an offense. Throwing the ball really accurate, guys making a lot of great catches, a lot of great reads. So all of us are doing a great job of being on the same page, and we'll be ready to go Saturday.
Kellen Mond joining us here on The Blitz, filling in for Wade Phillips on Wednesdays with Wade. Now, Kellen, I think about, and we've talked about this league is great for a guy like you because you get to go play and you get those game reps. Now, things are a little different in the UFL than what you experienced with the NFL or even at Texas A&M in college, because there's so much media involved in the communication. How do you practice what the games are like? Have you watched other old game tapes from the UFL, say like a year ago, just as the quarterback to get used to that?
Honestly, it's not too much of an adjustment. Certain things we practice, and a lot of guys get headsets so they hear the plays, and so it's a small adjustment, but not enough to, I guess, be difficult or anything. I get, as long as I get to play in my helmet, other guys are on the same exact page, and even if we have to do maybe a little bit of over communication, obviously everyone's mic'd up, so other teams in the future hear the plays, which is somewhat of a bit different. But at the end of the day, as long as I get the play call, offensive line gets it, running backs and offense will be all on the same page.
Kellen, let me ask you. You've been in the NFL. You've seen the talent in the NFL. Now you're in the UFL. You've seen the talent there. We always talk a lot about that there's not a lot of difference in the two. Do you find that to be the case?
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a fair assessment. I think there's going to be a lot of guys who are maybe backups in the NFL, and in 2 years they'll be trying to get opportunities in the UFL, trying to, work their way back up into the NFL, the big league. So, so much of the league is based on, the situation you're in, the opportunity you have, timing, and even sometimes luck. And if you can put yourself in the best position by, your work ethic and, your discipline to be ready for when your opportunity comes, that's all you can ask for. And then you kind of just got to let the cards play out. And so, all of us are, real excited about the opportunity. I do think we have a lot of NFL talent, and I feel like that's one of the reasons we've been able to grasp. And you see it on the defensive side of the ball too, the way they cover, the way they swarm to the ball. It's only made us as an offense better.
Kellen Mond joining us here on The Blitz. Game 1 Saturday. We talked with Wade Phillips last week, and after you were announced as the starter, he said one of the reasons you won that job is the ability to run, adding that dynamic to this Brahmas offense. Without giving away the game plan, how much running do you expect to do by design, or is it just part of if a read isn't there, you can take off and go?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it's part of a read, maybe a zone read. You know, we'll have certain things in the game plan, but I think a lot of it is being able to make the right reads whenever you're throwing the ball down the field, and then if something's not there, being able to take off. And sometimes a +1 yard gain is better than -2. You know, 2nd and 12 is a lot different than 2nd and 9. So I think that's really the big thing. You know, I've had maybe one big time run. You know, maybe every day or each every other day. And but I think it's definitely the explosive. You know, I feel really good. I'm running extremely well right now. So yeah, I definitely look forward to showing my legs off.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you too, Kellen, because I mean, you've got such a good arm and a good pocket presence. The running, does that come second nature? I mean, is it just an escapability for you that you can buy some time if you need to just by moving around a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the pocket presence. You know, there's a lot of guys who may not be extremely athletic or something in the NFL, but if you have great pocket presence, you have a good feel for the pocket where you're getting pressure, and just if you can make sudden movements in the pocket to give you some a quarter of a second time more to throw, then that's a huge plus for a quarterback. So I definitely think I have that, and then still being able to run and get on the edge. I used to run track back in the day, so I was running Texas track, running the 400 back in the day. So I've always been fast, and it's been somewhat of a critique of mine since I've been in the NFL. But sometimes just based on the offense that you're in, a lot of the West Coast offenses I've been in, you're not running zone reads. It's just not necessarily a part of, it's about getting your backs, running wide zone in certain runs. So, being in a different offensive system has allowed me to kind of express that, that type of running ability and be explosive.
Kellen Mond here on the Blitz as you're talking about that, and I think about some of the NFL offenses versus when I used to watch you over at Reagan High School. Does this offense feel a little bit more like back in the high school days?
I don't even remember my high school days back in the day. I remember a little bit of IMG Academy and some of the stuff we were running with Kevin Sumlin, but it's definitely different from NFL systems. One of the main things is usually a lot of times in the NFL, you have a lot of plays, exactly where guys are going to be. There's not a lot of necessarily reading for the receiver. And that's kind of how a lot of NFL offenses operate. And then over here, it's more focused on, maybe having more of a concise game plan, maybe lesser plays, but within every play, truthfully, it can look like 10, based on a combination, it could look like 10, 15 different things. And so that's why I think the reps were so important to get with a lot of these receivers, be able to read their body language. And I think that's the biggest thing I've told the guys is, if you can express great body language, I'll be able to read you, and I'll be able to throw accurately. And if you can't, then, we're never going to be on the same page. And so we have a lot of guys who have a lot of experience in this offense, or maybe advanced offenses, who have done a really good job. And, like I said, we've been able to connect really well.
All right, Kellen, I know the answer to this question, I think, before I ask it, knowing the competitor that you are, but how geeked up are you, man, that you actually have a real football game to play this Saturday?
I mean, it's the best feeling in the world. I think, I've kind of expressed to a lot of people that I haven't played a full game of football since 2020, my last year when we were number 4 team in the country, playing in the Orange Bowl against North Carolina. So, a lot of times in the NFL, you don't really get those situations. You don't get to finish a half, finish a game, and have to go win games or sustain drives. It's a little bit different. But being able to do that 4 to 5 years later, it's a blessing, and I really can't wait.
So is obviously excitement, but nervous a little bit about Saturday?
Nah, honestly, no. I mean, I played in front of 100,000 people. I played in 7 overtime games against LSU and scored 74 points. You've kind of been a part of some of the biggest stuff, and I think, I don't think there'll be any nerves. I think maybe just a pure excitement and joy to get out there. And, a lot of times with quarterbacking and as an offense, it's about figuring out kind of like solving puzzle pieces and figure out what the defense is in, like what's their game plan. And, I think that's kind of more of the exciting part of it. But at the end of the day, just go out, execute, and trust your guys to get open and play with confidence.
Kellen, you make a great point there, and I don't think people understand the value of you playing there at Kyle Field in front of 100,000 people and the pressure, that just playing around those people brings, but the learning part of that as well, I would think, is invaluable.
Absolutely, and I think kind of in the trajectory of where my college career went, it started off extremely rocky. And, a lot of people weren't the biggest fans of me at A&M. And, it took a long time to kind of earn that trust back from, the A&M fan base and even outsiders. But, I had one of my best years finishing off in Kyle Field. And, we ended up number 4 team in the country. And, that year I played with a lot of confidence, a lot of trust, made plays. And Jimbo kind of that year gave me the keys to the car and said, this is your team, and it felt different than in years past. And so that's what I kind of feel now. I think, it's your team. You have the keys to the car. AJ says all the time, the quarterback can see the field better than anyone. So, if it's something you see and you check a play, check it with confidence. And as long as it falls within the kind of the criteria and how we're trying to execute as an offense, go roll with it. And, we have the talent to do that. I think we have phenomenal backs, and we have a lot of talent. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Kellen Mond here on the Blitz, QB1 of the San Antonio Brahmas. Confident, the maturity level, the difference in where you are versus, maybe a couple of years ago. When you think about your receivers, you mentioned your backs a couple of times. Of the receivers you're working with, who do you have the best, if this is a fair question for you, the best connection with right now? So when we're watching the game on Saturday, who do you think is your go-to guy, your security blanket, if you will?
I mean, so much of it is dependent on what play we're running, and I think based on the way this offense works is, like I said, it's you have a lot of options a lot of times as a receiver depending on the play that's called. And so based on coverage, it can be thrown to anyone. And I think we have a lot of great pieces. Justin Smith has experience in this offense. John Trey has experience in this offense. And then we add, Greg Ward, Jacob Harris is outside. And, a lot of these guys are rolling, and they're now that we have over 15 to 16 practices together, we're hitting on all cylinders. And so, like I said, week 1, we're, kind of learning. Week 2 was really good, and then week 3, I felt like we kind of exploded, and it's like, oh, this could be a really, really good offense. This could be a great team, and so, the defense has made us extremely good. Giving us phenomenal looks, and when you go into a game and knowing that you play the best defense in practice, sometimes it could feel like, oh wow, this is a bit easier. So, hopefully that happens this week. There's going to be certain things that the opposing team throws at us that, that maybe that we haven't seen, but, we have to make adjustments and, still go play with confidence and react.
Well, Kellen, we know you can handle audibles, my friend, because you did it today flawlessly. Are you worried about your head coach, though? I'm a little worried about Wade. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's good. I wanted to make sure it was Wednesdays with Kellen before it's Wednesdays with Wade. Wade is amazing.
We could come up with Mondays with Mond. I mean, see, now, Kellen, I'm
a little post game review.
Absolutely.
Now, we like to have fun on this show, as you know, and we thought maybe Wade heard something we were talking about earlier. See, our producer, James Pledger, started a conversation with us earlier and said, this morning in the shower, I was thinking about Wade Phillips. And I didn't hear anything after that. Have you ever thought about Wade Phillips while you were in the shower?
No, but maybe that's why. Maybe he did boycott the show, and maybe there's no more Wednesdays with Wade. I'm not sure if Wade wanted to hear that.
Yeah, I don't know that I wanted to hear that, to be honest with you. It was just an odd thing. I'm getting texted. I think Wade is, whatever he's doing, he wants to come on at 5:30. So do we want to do that? We've just got to track him down. He might be back on in an hour if he gets lost again. He disappeared in the building. Yeah. Does he do that a lot?
Nah, he doesn't. I mean, you see him, Mark Lillibridge comes up and talk. Wade will talk for 10 minutes in the morning and talk to us at practice. But I do think one of the great things is, Wade doesn't necessarily have to be that up in front and talking and making sure. I think we have a lot of great leaders on the team, a lot of vocal guys, a lot of guys talking, mess to the other team, a lot of, I was going to say a bad word, but yeah, talking mess to the other side. And so, it's a lot of competitive nature. And I think we have a lot of mature, really disciplined and, really hardworking players. And, he kind of allowed us to take the reins of the team, and the best leaders on the best teams are usually coming from the players. So I think that's something that Wade notices, and so it's no surprise that they had one of the best teams in the league last year, and I look forward to being that component to hopefully get us over that hump.
Well, good luck to you, Kellen, throughout the year, especially Saturday to start things off, man. I hope you have a great season. We really do.
Awesome. I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. Kellen Mond, quarterback one of the San Antonio Brahmas, running the scramble drill to perfection.
Yes.
And
perfect.
I am told, I'll just read the, can we do it later? We'll do that, 5:35. I will keep eyes on him. So we won't let Wade get lost. We'll Buyers Barricades at Guest Line. How's your Wednesday, Coach?
Good. I'm sorry I'm late on this thing, but I had some work to do. I know you guys don't know anything about that, but
well, I'm just curious, Coach. What is the punishment when you're late to a meeting?
Yeah, well, when the head coach is late, it's no problem.
Great answer. That's a great answer. Well, Coach, it's finally here. It's game week. All the hard work you guys have been putting in, you finally get to show it off on Saturday. You guys ready to go?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we practice against each other enough. We're ready to and play a ball game. Practice is practice, but that's why we're here, is play ball game, play the games, and that's where the players have fun, and it's an exciting time for us.
When you think about first games are always tough because all the different changes, but I look at Arlington, Luis Perez back as their quarterback, and, as talented as he is, from a defensive mind like yours, does that make it easier since you've played against Luis so many times?
No. I mean, he led the league in passing last year, and the year before he won the championship in the XFL. So he's just tough to play against. I really like Luis as a person. He's a great guy. We're going to try to keep him from, scoring touchdowns on us. But he's a talented guy in this league that shows what he can do. He's a great pocket passer. He's not a scrambler, but he is a pocket passer that I think he had one of the highest passing percentages last year, and he led the league in passing. So he's tough to play against.
Well, Coach, we were fortunate enough to be able to talk to your quarterback, Kellen Mond, a few minutes ago. And great audible, by the way. Stepped in for you very, very nicely. But he says that he's really developed a good relationship with the wide receivers over the last 3 weeks. Have you noticed that?
I have, yeah. I mean, basically, a lot of times you have a lot of new players in this league, and so you're almost starting over as a team and melding together, and everybody knowing what the other person can do and how they can help each other. So, yeah, I think he's coming along real well there with the receivers we have.
When we talked to you last week, when you announced him as your starter, you talked about his ability to run and his maturity level. When you watch him play, knowing what he did at A&M, been in a couple of different systems in the NFL, does he just have that look to him? He seemed to have that presence today versus like when we talked to him at the beginning of camp.
Yeah, he's a natural, what I call a natural. I mean, he can throw the ball really well, and then if it's not there, he can run with it really well, and then you have designed running plays that help your running game overall. We've got really good backs, and we had a really good running game with the same two backs we have last year. So he just adds another dimension there.
Coach, when you look at your team, and obviously these guys, a lot of them are trying to get the reps, get better, and get back into the NFL or get to the NFL. When you look at your roster and your team, and without obviously naming names, are there guys that you see that have that NFL talent that probably will be back in the league and versus some that maybe not?
Yeah, I mean, and not all of them are playing to get back in the NFL. Some of them just want to keep playing football because they love football, which those are kind of good guys to have too, because they, you know, that they're focused and they're listening to the coaches and trying to get help that way too. So, yeah, you got all kinds of guys, and we have talented guys. We have more talent than we had last year. I will say that. We don't have any better coaching, but we have more talent, so that should help us.
Well, when you already have the best coaching, it doesn't get better because you're already at the top.
Well, nice.
Wade Phillips joining us.
On.
Yeah, here on the Blitz. Well, you're still 0-0. I mean, go out and win, right? No.
There you go.
Well, see, there's nothing armchair yet. What's this week like for you? I know you've got to get the game plan ready, but there's so much involved in the TV side of things, and this game on Saturday, 3 o'clock on Fox. Do you have additional production meetings just because it's week one? What do we expect as a TV audience to be different this year in the UFL?
Yeah, I had an extensive meeting with them yesterday, so they're very thorough, and Kurt Menefee is going to be one of the announcers who is, one of my favorites and one of the best, I think, what he does. So they're getting ready, and we are too.
Are you ready for that in-game interview, Coach? I mean, have you practiced that?
I think I need a little more work on that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're so nice, but, sometimes the looks can be like, did you really just ask me that in the middle of the game?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that. It was, did you really second guess me? And with 2 minutes left in the game, said, why wouldn't you go for it on fourth down? I said, well, we had 3 timeouts. If we stop them, and we did stop them and get another chance. We didn't end up winning the game, but yeah, I didn't like that part of it.
Good stuff. Wade Phillips joining us here on the Blitz. Wednesdays with Wade every Wednesday during the UFL season. It's a road game, but you don't have to travel. Is that good for you guys just to be able to get this first game, or would you rather be able to get on a plane, go somewhere, and get that part of the routine down?
Well, I'd rather go to the Alamo Dome and play, obviously, but our first 4 games are on the road, so we talked about being road warriors, and it's still tough to go on the road, even though this is right here. But they practice at that stadium all the time, and then there will be some San Antonio fans there, though. So I know that. So, but they have the home crowd. So, but we can overcome that by playing well.
Coach, how do you handle the next 2 days with your team? What will you put them through Thursday, Friday?
Well, Thursday really is the finish-up work week as far as, more full-speed stuff. Friday would be a walkthrough. I want them rested. I want their legs rested, but when they play the game, I don't want them to be tired. I mean, I think that's one of the worst things coaches do is they overtrain them, and then they don't have all their energy on game day. So we point towards game day.
How offensively do you script the first 15, 20 plays and work through that, or is that part of your style?
Yeah, that's part of what AJ does or we do. But those things are adjustable. I mean, everybody says they do 15 plays, but if you go 3 and out on one of them, or you have a 10-play drive, sometimes it changes. The next few plays. So it's still got to be adjustable no matter what plays you think you have set.
When and I'm curious, Coach, and forgive me if this is a dumb question, but is the defense kind of the same? Is that set, or you just have to adjust every play to what the offense is doing?
Well, it's similar in that you think you have, it's more against personnel groups, whatever personnel group they have in defensively. They can only run certain plays from, 3 wide receivers, 2 tight end sets, whatever. And so you have your game plan set up as to what personnel they have in the game and what they can do out of that, whether it's more runs or more passes or, different plays that they can run. And so you have to set up defenses for that. And then you adjust as the game goes along, yeah. If they're running 2 tight end offense and they're having success, you need to change something. Now, if they're not, well, then you kind of stick with your overall game plan to start with. But it's always adjustable in games. And then halftime is a big key because you have time, at least some time, to make the adjustments you want going into the second half.
When you think about the way the UFL is, there's a game on Friday. You guys are playing. Do you watch the other games that are going on, or because you're getting your team ready, that's not feasible?
No, I do. I mean, if we're not having obviously we're not having a meeting or something like that the day before at that time, but I like football, so.
Well, the Friday game,
I kind of get an idea what other people are doing.
Yeah, the Friday game, St. Louis and Houston. You got St. Louis in week 2. I think I know how you feel about both of those teams. I mean, do you watch them hoping they both lose?
Yeah, I hope they tie.
Well, Coach, I got to ask you off the topic of football, the Houston Cougars. You going to keep an eye on what they're doing this weekend?
Yeah, Friday, big game Friday. So yeah, I keep up with them there. We had some great teams when I was there. So and Kevin Sampson does a great job. But they've been in the number 1 seed the last 4 years, and so hopefully this is the year they go all the way.
And win it in your building, which you'll be in several weeks. You get to play now. Coach, we're leaving here in a couple hours. We're going to Vegas. We're going to do our show tomorrow and Friday at Circa Las Vegas because it's opening day of baseball in Sweet 16. And so, I'm looking at lines for this weekend. Brahma's favored by 3 with an over-under of 37.5.
Man, you guys got a tough life, don't you?
Wow. Work.
Somebody has to, right?
That's
Somebody
right.
has to do it. Yeah, I don't pay much attention to the line or whatever. Just go out and play our best, and that should take care of the score.
Well, you didn't help us at all, Coach, there, because we were thinking about, I don't know, some inside info there, but that's okay. I'm glad. I'm glad the Brahmas are favored. That's good. They should be.
Last year you had no respect coming into the season. This year, that's changed. You proved them all wrong a year ago.
Yeah, we were picked last. Well, the last 2 years I was in Houston too. With the Roughnecks the year before, we picked last out of 8 teams. So we've been there before, but it doesn't matter. Obviously, it doesn't matter where you picked; it's how you play.
That's it. And we know you guys are going to go play well, Coach. I know it's been a busy day. We missed earlier, but you were like, "I've got a commitment." We little late. Whatever the fine is, head coach, you assess that penalty to yourself, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday after you beat the Renegades on Saturday. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Coach, appreciate you.